All right, this is lesson 1.4 in elementary algebra. And this is, I kind of alluded to what we were going to do in this section in the last lesson. But in the last one, we were adding numbers. If they were positives and negatives and, combination of the two. Well, this time we're going to subtract. And again, like I'd mentioned before, if we're going to subtract, if we have like 6 minus 7, remember I said we're going to change it to a plus, and that negative will follow the 7 like that. And then what we do is we look at the biggest number and put the sign on it, and then the signs are different, so we take the difference between the two. So it's just like we did in the last lesson, just kind of one more step, and that step being 6 minus 7, we changed it to plus negative. Okay, that's all we did, is just put a plus sign here and then left the negative 7. So right after the first number, put a plus sign and you'll be good to go. That's pretty much the whole lesson, but let's do some examples here. So I'm going to jump down to example 3. So we have 7 plus negative 3 minus 5. Okay, so let's do these first. The biggest number is a 7, and it's positive. 7 is positive, 3 is negative. The signs are different. We take the difference. And then we didn't do anything with the 5 yet. All right, so we have a negative 5. So all we have to do is put a plus sign there in a parenthesis, and we're ready to go. So what do we know? The biggest number is negative, so we put a negative there. This 4 is a positive, this 5 is a negative, so the signs are different, so we take the difference between 4 and 5, and we're done. All right, let's look at B in example 3. We have 8 minus a negative 2 minus 6. All right, so one of the things that's nice is if you have two negatives side by side, like we do here, they just turn into positives. Okay, so see, I just took these two negatives, canceled them, and made them into one positive. Some people say you just take one of these and put it like that. So you still get your negatives there, it's just they make a cross there instead of two negatives. But either way. And then you go from left to right. 8 plus 2 is 10, minus 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. Or if you wanted to do it like I said and change these to positive, do this, you can do that. And the sign of the largest number is positive. The signs are different, so you take the difference between 10 and 6, and you still get 4. So either way. All right, let's look at C. We got negative 2 minus parenthesis. And again, you do what's in the parentheses first. So we're going to do that first. So we're going to leave everything else the same. And we'll even leave the parentheses there. All right, sign of the biggest number is negative. We have a negative 3 and a positive 1. The signs are different, so we take the difference between 3 and 1, and we get 2. Okay, we've got two negatives right there, so that means those turn into a plus, and our negative 5 stays the same. Notice that we have a negative there, so this is not multiplied by this. It's 2 minus this. This is not multiplied either. It's subtracted, so that's why there's a plus sign. Two negatives give me a positive, and this negative is right there. Okay, so let's look at this part first. Negative 2 plus 2. Whenever we add the same number, but they're opposite in value, they're 0. Okay, 0 minus 5. All right, so now all we do is look at this and say what number is the biggest. The 5 is bigger than 0, so the answer is going to be negative. And the difference between 0 and 5 is 5. So 0 minus 5 is negative 5. All right, so let's go on to example number 4. And it says, take 2 times 5 minus 3 times 8 minus 4 times 9. Okay, so remember PEMDAS says do the multiplication and division before the addition and subtraction. So we are going to do this, this, and this before we do the subtraction. So 10 minus 24 minus 36. All right, so now we have these minuses. Now remember, I can change all of those to pluses. just by doing that. Okay? Didn't do anything weird. Just put a plus sign here and a plus sign here and put the negative on with the negative 36, or the 36 and the negative on with the 24 and put them in parentheses. So let's do this first one because, again, we do the addition and subtraction from left to right. Biggest number between 10 and 24 is a 24, so that's the sign. Signs are different. What's the difference between 10 and 24? 14. Okay, now we've got those two numbers to add. All right, so what do we know? The biggest number is 36, and it's got a negative on it. The signs are the same, so that means we add them. 36, 46, 50. We get negative 50 then for our answer. All right, so let's keep cruising along here. And let's see. I guess we're on example 5. So we have 3 times 2 cubed minus 2 times 4 squared. All right, so PEMDAS. What does PEMDAS say? PEMDAS says do parentheses first. We don't have any, so we have to do exponents. So 3 times 8 minus 2 times 16. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 4 times 4 is 16. Now, we can go to the next step. The next step says after the exponents, we do the multiplication. So 3 times 8 is 24 minus 32. Okay, now we go to division. Isn't any addition, there isn't any subtraction. And what do we do with our subtraction? We change it to a plus, a negative. Okay, then we look and say our biggest number is 32, and there's a negative there, so our answer is going to be negative. Signs are different between 24 and 32, so we take the difference between 24 and 32, and we get 8. All right, so I hope I'm not confusing you. I'm hoping that this is coming pretty well with you. My M doesn't look like an M. It still doesn't look like an M. All right, so we are on example 6. It says subtract 7 from 3, or 7 from negative 3. So we're taking 7 away from 3. So this is what it looks like. Okay, it says we started with a negative 3 and we took 7 away. That's a hard concept to get because a lot of people just go, oh, 7 minus 3. But it's negative 3 minus 7. So let me rewrite that. Negative 3 minus 7. And remember, you don't subtract, you change that, and you put the 7 with its negative in parentheses. Biggest number is negative. The signs are the same, so you add them, and you be done with that one. Okay, let's keep going here. Subtract negative 5 from 2. Subtract negative 5 from 2. Well, we've got 2 negatives there. What are 2 negatives? A positive. Okay? If it says, find the difference of 9 and 2, for example 8. So if it says find the difference of 9 and 2, you leave everything in that order. Okay? You don't have to worry about anything being freaky on you. It just says find the difference between 9 and 2. You just take 9 minus 2 because the difference means subtract. Find the difference. This is example 9. Find the difference of 3 and negative 5. The difference between 3 and negative 5. 2 negatives side by side means you add those and you get 8. And the reason you get that is it says find the difference between 3 and negative 5. So how far is it from here to here? It's 8. Okay? So that's how they get that. Okay, let's see. Is there anything else on here? Bottom of page 41, it's got that whole translating words into symbols. We did it with addition. The sum of, well, in subtraction, it's the difference of, or minus, or less, or reduced by, or fewer. So there's a whole bunch of different words in story problems that'll give you some direction on whether you're supposed to subtract or not. So I'm going to skip example 10 and just go right into some problem sets here with problem set 1.4. So let's jump all the way down to 44. So let me turn this off and write that. Okay, so here is number 44. So again, I'm going to write PEMDAS on here just to remind you that that's the order. So we do what's in the parentheses first, the innermost parentheses. So again, I'm going to write everything as is except I'm going to do what's in those parentheses there. Okay, now I'm going to do what's in this parenthesis since I did all that. And that says -5 minus 15 or plus -15. So I'm going to rewrite that. I didn't do anything. I just changed this to a plus negative. Now I'm going to do something with it. All right, so biggest number is -15. So the biggest number is negative. Signs are the same, -5 and 15. So we add. Okay, 2 negatives there. Okay, what's 30 plus 20? Okay, so 50 minus 25 is going to be 25 if I did everything correctly. All right, this is number 56. So again, doing PEMDAS. We're going to do parentheses. There aren't any. Then it says do exponents. So let's do the exponents. 6 times 6 is 36, not 12. 9. Whoops, I'm sorry. This is supposed to be a multiplication sign, isn't it? Minus 8 times 36. So those little mistakes, like me having a plus sign there, that's going to give you wrong answers. So really, really be careful when you're writing these. And next step is multiplication. 3 times 36. Oh gosh, what is that? 108. Minus 2 times 9 is 18. Minus 8 times 36 is 298, I think. 244. Actually, it's 288. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we're going to rewrite it as 108 plus -18 plus -288. If I did that, if that is 288, I'm assuming that it is. So, sign is on the positive, 108 and -18. Their signs are different. So I take the difference between the two, and I have that. Okay. Again, sign is on the largest one, is negative. So my answer is negative. Signs are different, so I'm going to take the difference between 288 and 90, and that's going to be 198, and that will be your answer. Hopefully I did that right. I try to do this stuff in my head too many times, and sometimes I screw up, so forgive me if I made a simple mistake there, but that's basically following PEMDAS is what I was doing. So let's just jump down to 84. An airplane flying at 10,000 feet lowers its altitude by 1,500. So I like to draw these pictures. And sometimes I get carried away and put too much detail in my airplanes, and then it takes me an hour and I haven't done anything, but that's usually the point. So an airplane flying at 10,000 lowers its altitude by 1,500. So we lowered our altitude by 1,500. Then it increases its altitude by 3,000. So we went up another 3,000. And they want to know where that is. So we were at 10,000. We went down 1,500. And then we added another 3,000. And that's how you do that. So anyway, that's it for lesson 1.4. Hopefully some of those problems that I did out of the problem set kind of gives you an idea. Sometimes the story problems are a little difficult, but I think you'll be fine.